Hey everyone, my name is Gabriel and I'm a black and gray tattoo artist out of San Diego, California. This is going to be the first video in a series called Technique Tuesday, where I'm going to be trying to give you guys as much advice, tips, and tricks as I can to help improve your overall understanding of art and just your application when it comes to tattooing. So if you're interested in seeing some of the secrets that I have that make my tattoos the way that they are, please go ahead and stay tuned. For right now, let's go ahead and roll that intro. Alright guys, so before we get started, I just want to let you know that this is the way that I do things. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way or the only way to do it. This is just the way that I do things. So when it comes to application, as long as you're putting in a good tattoo that's going to heal well and it's going to last a lifetime, that's what's really important. But let's get started on the way that I do things. I do use two different blacks. I use Dynamic for my darks and I use Talons for my lights. One way to check if a black is a little bit darker than the other out of the blacks that you might have lying around is to get some practice skin. Make two little swatches of black from the different brands right next to each other, leave a small gap between them, and what that'll give you is a pretty quick result as to how they're gonna heal. Because you don't have to worry about swelling or redness or the healing process itself. It should give you a pretty good example as to how the blacks will look when they're healed. So that's one way to test stuff. But for right now, let's go ahead and get into the drops count by taking a look at my station. Alright guys, I can go on for hours about tonal theory in different ranges and value like I usually do in my live seminars, but for right now I just want to go briefly over how I set up my gray wash system. So for starters, there's two rows of caps. I have my dark row and my light row. My dark row is going to be done with Dynamic triple black, and my light row is going to be done with Talons. We'll get started out with pouring a full cap of black in the corner, 3/4 cap of black in the next cup, and a half cap of black in the last cup. The next row, we're going to go ahead and start off with a half cap of Talons, and then a 1/4 cap of Talons. If you're wondering why the Talons is in such a small bottle, it just makes it easier for me to pour, so I transfer it over from the large bottle into the smaller one. Then what we're going to go ahead and do is fill up every single cap. I like to just use distilled water. I don't use witch hazel or rose water or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and dunk my paper towel into it, and then I'll go ahead and just wring it out into my caps, making sure to try to fill them all to the brim. And that's pretty much how I set up my gray wash system. So I have my full cap of Dynamic, I have my 3/4 cap of Dynamic, and a half cap of Dynamic, half cap of Talons, 1/4 cap of Talons. So now that we got our drop count system set up, let's go ahead and break down this photo in a way that's going to make it really easy for us to understand and start putting these drop counts to use. Let's jump over to the iPad. So how I like to start off by is desaturating the main layer along with my stencil. And if you look closely at the stencil, I had previously labeled it according to an old drop count system I used to use, but let's go ahead and get started on labeling this one a little bit more current with my new system. Let's bring up a value chart. So what we're going to start off by is finding our darkest areas of black, and then we'll try to find our lightest areas of tone wherever basically it isn't white but still has some tone on it. And you guessed it, next we're going to go ahead and locate our midtones. If you find yourself questioning an area of value on the image, you can always just take swatches and make patches similar to our practice skin example from earlier. And once we've established these areas, we can fill in the blanks with our remaining tones fairly easy. This is again just a touch on the subject, but this will make a huge difference in how you assess your values. Keeping all these values in mind, and in fact you could even label them similar to how I have on my stencil, it'll be a lot easier moving forward when you're doing your tattoo, especially if you use your iPad as reference throughout the process. This might seem like a simple thing to do, and for the most part it is, but the big thing about this is how impactful it can be in your tattooing. Something as simple as previously labeling the areas that you know you're going to be putting tone in takes out the guesswork when you're actually doing the tattoo, which is going to make you a lot more efficient, but more importantly, it's going to make you a lot more deliberate in the process. And like I said before, being deliberate is really what makes the tattoos heal better, look better, and go in faster. So I hope you enjoyed this quick touch on the subject. Now this was just a brief overview of a very complex topic, but I hope it gives you guys a better understanding as to how I use my drop count system when I'm tattooing. I go much more in depth into this topic in my seminars, so if that's something that you're interested in doing, make sure that you keep an eye out for that. I post them on my Instagram, and I'll go ahead and put that name down below. They are limited seating and they go fast, so if you do see that post, make sure that you jump on it as quick as possible. Also, if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It really lets me know that I'm doing a good job and motivates me to keep making these educational type videos for you. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's going to keep you up to date as to when I post a new video, and it's going to also let me know that I'm doing a good job just the same. But for now, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.